I still remember the steam rising from the asphalt that morning. Middle of September, but Denver hadn't gotten the memo yet. It was already touching 90. I had the AC on full blast, her favorite playlist playing, and a stupid grin on my face as I drove us to the airport. Our 10-year anniversary trip. Iceland. I'd spent months planning it. Private villa, Northern Lights tours, hot springs under the stars, dinners by candlelight, the whole deal. And I paid for everything. Out of my own pocket. First class. Not because I had to. Because I wanted her to feel what she meant to me, even after a decade. That she was worth the effort. That was the version of reality I believed in. We pulled up to curbside drop-off. I reached over to get the luggage, already imagining the look on her face when she saw the cabin I booked. Instead, she didn't move. She just sat there, digging in her bag. Calm. Too calm. Then she turned to me, eyes cold like she was flipping a switch. "Mike, I'm flying out today. But not with you." I laughed. Thought it was a joke. "What do you mean?" She opened the door. And there he was. Trev. Tall, smug, with that gym bro smugness he always carried. Our friend. The guy I used to wave to after Sunday workouts. The one who came to our housewarming. Sat at my table. Drank my beer. Watched football with me. She stepped out, kissed him on the cheek, right in front of me, and said, "I'm going with Trevor. It's been over for a while, Mike. You just didn't notice." I didn't yell. Didn't say a word. I just stood there on the curb, my hand still on the handle of a suitcase I packed for her the night before. She was already walking away, pulling my suitcase behind her. And the car I rented? The one I booked for the trip to the villa? Trevor took the driver's seat. Smiled like he just stole candy from a kid. She climbed in beside him. He honked once. Mocking. And they drove off. I stayed on that curb for maybe 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes. I don't remember. But what I do remember, vividly, is the heat inside my chest going cold. Not from heartbreak. Not yet. Something colder. Heavier. Like the click of a switch in my own head. Something told me, "Don't go after them. Don't scream. Just watch. Breathe. And remember." And I did. I watched them disappear down the terminal road, laughing. My playlist still echoing from the speakers. I took a breath. Then I reached into my jacket, pulled out my phone, and deleted her contact. No rage. No panic. Just clarity. Because if she thought this story was going to end like she planned, she hadn't met this version of me yet. You ever had one? Like time just freezes. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Just eerily still. That was me, standing there at Denver International, watching my wife, get in the car I rented with the man I used to fist bump after leg day. It didn't feel real. They were laughing. My playlist was still playing from the Bluetooth. Our luggage, the matching set we bought for our honeymoon, was already loaded into the trunk. Packed by me, like an idiot, the night before. She didn't even look back. I didn't yell. Didn't throw a fit. Didn't sprint to the car screaming like some rom-com extra. I just watched. Watched the taillights fade. And the weirdest thing? My brain went quiet. No thoughts. Just images. A reel of memories. Little freeze frames. Things I hadn't let myself see until now. Flashback 1. Trevor, sweaty from a workout, sitting at our kitchen island. He's cracking jokes with Rachel. Yeah, I'm calling her by name now, and she's laughing harder than I've seen in months. At the time, I was just happy she was smiling again. Flashback 2. Late meeting, she said one Thursday. I offered to pick her up. She declined. Said she'd Uber. Came home smelling like some citrus and musk cologne I didn't own. I made a joke. New client wear after shave? She laughed it off. Too quickly. Flashback 3. Saturday. She said she was going to a charity Pilates class. Trevor posted a story that day from a cabin in Aspen. She wasn't tagged, but I saw the bracelet, the one I gave her on our 7th anniversary, on someone's wrist holding a wine glass in the background. I told myself it wasn't her. It's funny what you can ignore when you're in love. How you rewrite moments to make yourself feel safe. Trevor was always around. He showed up at our barbecues. Helped her fix the garbage disposal once when I was stuck at the office. Gave me a book on architecture for my birthday, like he was in on my life. I used to thank him for keeping her motivated. Now I wonder how many times he stood in our kitchen, touching her like nothing mattered. But I get it now. She didn't fall into his arms. She walked there, step by step. And me? I was too busy being the steady husband to notice the house catching fire behind me. I didn't cry that day. Not out of pride. Just couldn't. Instead, I sat back down in the driver's seat of my truck, alone, engine still running. The Iceland confirmation emails dinged into my inbox as I stared at the terminal exit. One of them had the villa owner's name, Einar. I thought about calling, canceling everything. But then something in me whispered, no, not yet. See, they'd taken my trip, my car, my plans, my trust, but they had no idea what else I'd already set in motion. And if Rachel thought this betrayal was going to break me, she'd forgotten one crucial detail. You don't get to stab a man in the back when he's already seen the blade coming. The drive back from the airport felt clean. That's the word I'd use. Not sad, not angry. Just clean. Like someone finally shut off the background noise I didn't realize was there. I cracked the window. Let the cold air hit my face. Turned off the radio. And then, I did what every betrayed man in denial should have done months ago. I turned off my phone. I didn't want to hear the explanations. The excuses. Didn't need to know how. It just happened. Let him talk to voicemail. I pulled into the driveway, walked into my house, my empty house, and stood there for a long minute, looking at the photos we never updated. The couch we picked together. The scent of her shampoo still lingering near the bathroom. And then I started unplugging. I fired up my laptop. Logged into every account we'd ever shared. The Iceland trip? Everything was under my name. Hotel? My card. Rental? My ID? Flights? I had the only booking code. And wouldn't you know it? Right around 7 p.m., the calls started. First it was Rachel. Hey, babe, there's some mix-up at the hotel. They can't find our reservation. Can you just decline? Then Trevor. Hey, man, I know this is weird, but click. Then her mom. Her mom, who once told me I was the best thing that ever happened to Rachel. Apparently now I'm being dramatic. They were stranded. In the Reykjavik cold. Without keys. Without room numbers. Without a plan. And that's when I smiled. Not out of cruelty. But because I realized something. They were finally living with the consequences of their decisions. While they were begging receptionists to check again, I was backing up hard drives. Copying contracts. Exporting files from shared folders Rachel had forgotten were still linked to my cloud. I knew she kept personal stuff in there. Financial logs. An alternate Venmo account. Chat backups. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning to replace me. And now? I had the evidence. All of it. By 10 p.m., I had 3 external drives filled with every document, chat, email, and receipt I'd need. Her gym membership had a payment pattern I could trace. Their dinner spots matched his Instagram stories. Even her solo girls retreat last fall. Turns out Trevor tagged the exact hot spring the same weekend. Sloppy, predictable, and now fully archived. I poured myself a scotch, opened a new tab, started the process to move our joint savings. It wasn't much, but enough to feel it. Next up, passwords. Netflix, email, bank accounts, streaming, the security system. Everything got reset. Two-factor authentication, new codes, fingerprint lock. The house, the finances, the plans, back under my control. They thought they took a trip. They didn't realize I was launching a reset. System restore, initiated. My life wasn't over. It was rebooting. And this time, I wasn't letting anyone else touch the keyboard. By morning, the narrative had flipped. She was already painting the picture. Posts on Instagram, vague and tearful. Something about being left. About how not everyone is built to handle pressure. One mutual friend even texted, "I'm so sorry she's going through this, man. Didn't know you were struggling that bad." Struggling? Buddy, I'm drinking black coffee in a robe while transferring our Hulu account to my name. I'm not struggling. I'm taking inventory. But I knew Rachel. Knew she'd try to control the story first. So I didn't answer anyone. No texts. No calls. No. Let's talk like adults. Instead, I logged in. Not into just our shared stuff, but into the archives I backed up last night. Because here's the thing, Rachel wasn't just cheating. She was strategizing. In one folder, innocently named tax_stuff_2022, I found exported chats between her and Trevor. And I mean detailed. Like spreadsheets level planning. They weren't running off for passion. They were planning a transition. A swap. Me out. Him in. She told him when I got paid. How much I contributed to our joint account. How I never noticed the extra withdrawals. There were screenshots of my bank dashboard. She had logged in. Repeatedly. Not just to peek, but to move. Transfers. Trial withdrawals. A test wire to a PayPal account that I had never seen. It hit me like cold water. She was probing. Seeing how much she could siphon off before I noticed. And if I hadn't pulled the plug when I did, there's no telling how far it would have gone. The icing on the betrayal cake? She'd also drafted an email. A draft that never got sent. Addressed to my firm. Claiming emotional distress. Calling me unstable. Saying she feared for her safety. Just in case she needed leverage. Just in case she needed to ruin me before I got a chance to defend myself. But I was already 5 steps ahead. And now I had timestamps, IP logs, and every whisper of her digital fingerprints. You know the wildest part? There was no apology. No regret in those messages. Just frustration. That I wasn't supposed to find out. That I ruined the plan. That I forced her to choose the hard way. So yeah, she was out there playing the abandoned victim. Sipping wine, typing long captions about growth and healing. But behind the scenes, she had been building an exit strategy and cashing in on a marriage she thought was hers to liquidate. Too bad for her. I already froze the assets. And the story? I was just getting ready to tell it my way. It started with a message request on Facebook. "Hi. You don't know me, but I think we have something in common. Trevor." Lauren. At first, I almost ignored it. I thought, great, another person coming to tell me what a monster I am based on Rachel's he left me tour. But something about how she said Trevor, just Trevor, made me stop scrolling. We got on a call that night. Lauren was calm. Too calm. Like someone who's already cried it all out and was now in burn it all down mode. She introduced herself. Graphic designer, lived in Boulder, met Trevor at the gym a year ago. They'd been together since January. Which was funny, because according to Rachel's phone logs, she and Trevor started working late, around March. Turns out Trevor had a schedule. Rachel in the evenings. Lauren on the weekends. Another woman, yes, another, in New Mexico, who apparently he visited. For work trips. He had different Spotify playlists for each of them. Different inside jokes. Different stories. He even told Lauren that Rachel was his cousin. No, I'm not kidding. Lauren had screenshots. So did I. We started comparing notes. Message timestamps. Hotel bills. Photo metadata. Rachel and Trevor's yoga retreat weekend. Same Airbnb where he celebrated Lauren's birthday a month earlier. Same wine. Same little cabin with a fire pit and fairy lights. Same pose in the hot tub. It was almost clinical how he duplicated everything. He had no originality. Just a rotation. Lauren didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She just said, I want him exposed. I want people to see. We exchanged more files. She gave me access to an iCloud folder he forgot to disconnect after they broke up. It had more than I expected. Voice memos. Selfies with timestamps. Videos meant only for her, sent the same week he was texting Rachel about starting fresh. Trevor wasn't in love. Trevor was building a brand. One where he was always the victim, always the misunderstood guy who just happened to be with emotionally unstable women. Lauren and I made a pact that night. No theatrics. No revenge porn. No blowing up anyone's life in public for the sake of drama. We weren't trying to destroy. We were going to document. And when the time was right, let the truth do what it always does. Crawl out into the light and scorch everything it touches. It's weird. Talking to Lauren felt like talking to the version of myself from 6 months ago. The one who still gave Trevor the benefit of the doubt. The one who packed his own wife's suitcase and smiled at a man who already had his hand on her lower back. Now we had records. We had dates. We had motive. And best of all, we had each other's backs. Trevor and Rachel thought they were the storm. They had no idea we'd already learned to dance in the rain. They thought I'd crawl into a hole. They thought I'd be sitting at home, crying into takeout containers while they were out, living their truth. Nah. While Trevor and Rachel were stuck in JFK, arguing with staff at the check-in counter about lost reservations, I was in a lift headed toward gate B36, passport in hand, itinerary in my email, and a one-way ticket to closure. Except I wasn't alone. Lauren met me at the airport. She had one carry-on, hiking boots, and that same cold calm in her eyes. You sure? I asked. You packed snacks? She smirked. Okay, yeah. You're ready. We didn't talk much on the flight. No deep emotional unpacking. Just headphones, a couple of shared glances, and a quiet understanding between two people who'd had enough lies for one lifetime. Iceland welcomed us with mist, silence, and this haunting kind of peace. The kind you feel in the bones. The villa was exactly how I planned it. Remote, surrounded by mossy cliffs and steaming earth. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Hot spring nearby. And a view that made you feel like the only person left on the planet, in a good way. Lauren walked in, dropped her bag, looked around and said, You realize you booked the best possible revenge vacation in human history, right? Revenge implies I want them to know. I said. Don't you? I looked out the window, into the fog. No. I want them to wonder. While Rachel and Trevor were sleeping in the airport lounge. Yes, I got the texts. I was having Arctic char with dill butter and a side of Serenity, while they were on hold with hotel managers who had no record of their names. I was soaking in 104-degree water under the northern lights. And while they were bickering about who should have double-checked the bookings, I was on a video call with my attorney. I'd hired him 2 days earlier, quietly, before any of this blew up. Now, sitting in a bathrobe, sipping Icelandic vodka, I uploaded everything. Chat logs, screenshots, timeline, financial records, voice memos Lauren had pulled. Proof Rachel tried to access my accounts. The divorce filing was ready by morning. No drama. No big announcements. Just a neat little email delivered to her inbox with a subject line: Formal petition for dissolution of marriage, Michael Reeves. By that point, Rachel had left me 3 voicemails, each one more frantic than the last. The final one? You're being childish. We just needed space. I didn't leave you, Michael. We just reconnected. You could have come with us. We still could have had Iceland. Don't do this. I hit delete. The truth is, there was a version of me, maybe 2 years ago, that would have listened to that voice and crumbled. But now I had the quiet, the space, the clarity, and someone in the other room who had also stared betrayal in the face and refused to blink. We didn't fall in love. This wasn't that kind of trip. But we did hike a volcano, laugh over bad Icelandic pop music, and sit in silence without needing to explain the ache we carried. That silence, that peace, that's what they'll never understand. Because chaos was their playground. But we chose stillness. And it changed everything. They came back to a different kind of winter. Not the Icelandic kind, beautiful and raw. No. This was colder. This was the kind of freeze that happens when you realize you're no longer in control. When the people you lied to stop answering your calls. When every door you counted on is suddenly, and very illegally, locked. Jenna landed 2 days after me. No tan. No glow. Just rage, confusion, and a man-child beside her who was sweating through his airport hoodie. I didn't even have to say a word. The world was already speaking for me. Her bank card got declined at the gas station. Then again at the grocery store. She tried the app, locked out. Tried the credit union, locked out. Her face must have gone pale when she finally understood. Everything we owned jointly, now frozen or moved. Then came the email from my lawyer. It hit her inbox at 8:17 a.m. Monday. Formal language. Screenshots of her attempt to siphon from our savings. The attached statement. Please provide written explanation regarding attempted unauthorized transfers on date time prior to our filing. If no response is received within 72 hours, we will proceed to include this as evidence of financial misconduct. She called me 14 times that day. Voicemails swinging wildly between crying, screaming, and one short one that simply said, "You're destroying everything." No, Jenna. You did that. I'm just turning on the lights. Then came the silence. From our friends. From her Pilates group. Even from her own sister, who texted me a simple, "Heard everything. Proud of how you handled it. Stay strong." Her parents? Oh, they were livid, but not at me. Apparently Jenna had told them some heroic story before the trip. Some lie about me being cold, unreachable, checked out. And now? Now they were sitting across from her at Sunday dinner, asking why a lawyer was emailing them about notarized statements. And Trevor? Oh, sweet Jim Bro Trevor. Vanished. Packed up his stuff the same night Jenna got served the initial papers. Sent her a one-line text. Didn't sign up for this legal mess. Sorry. That was it. No calls. No closure. Just gone. Turns out, Dating someone's wife is fun, until that wife loses access to money, reputation, and her last name's legal protections. I didn't gloat. I didn't send a single message. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel the gravity shift right back into my hands. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one being lied to, gaslit, or blamed for things I hadn't done. I was the one holding the receipts. And the law was on my side. People love to say, revenge isn't worth it. Maybe, but truth? Truth is. And watching it hit Jenna like a freight train, not because I screamed, but because I stayed silent, that was more powerful than any speech I could have made. Courtrooms aren't like in the movies. There's no dramatic music, no gasps, just cold air, uncomfortable chairs, and people trying to pretend this is just another day. But I wasn't pretending. I was here to end something. Properly. Jenna sat across the aisle from me. Same woman who once swore she'd never hurt me. Now whispering with her lawyer, hiding behind curled hair, and a too-tight blazer like that would change the facts. Spoiler, it didn't. Her opening statement? Predictable. Your Honor, my client was under emotional distress. She felt neglected in the marriage and made poor decisions. But she never intended financial harm. I didn't flinch. Because that's what people say when they get caught. It wasn't malicious. I didn't mean to. Intent doesn't undo action. And I had all the receipts. My lawyer opened a folder and laid it all out like clockwork. Logs from her access to joint accounts. Timestamped screenshots of unauthorized transfer attempts. Audio of a conversation where she admits to moving a bit before he notices. The hotel booking history showing she used my name and card to reserve a room for her and Trevor. The judge didn't even blink. Just nodded. Scribbled. Listened. But Jenna? She started to unravel by the second hearing. She cried. Talked about 10 years of pressure. Said things like, he stopped seeing me. I was just alone. Right. So naturally, you pack your bags with a family friend and try to clean out the savings account. Real sympathetic. There was a moment, I'll admit, where part of me wanted to say something. To call her out right there. To ask her how long it had been going on, or if she'd ever meant the vows at all. But I didn't. Because I wasn't here for revenge anymore. I was here for results. And they came. The judge ruled, clearly and calmly. This court finds clear evidence of intentional financial misconduct. Given the documentation presented and the lack of rebuttal, all jointly held marital property will remain with Mr. Reeves. Further claims by the defendant are dismissed. Just like that, done. She tried to object. Tried to interrupt. Her lawyer even tried to motion for reconsideration. Denied. Every last time. As we left the courtroom, she looked at me for the first time since all this began. Not with anger. Not even with regret. But with the hollow stare of someone who just realized she lost everything. To the man she thought was too passive to fight back. It wasn't about the house. Or the money. It was about the principle. And this time, the truth didn't set her free. It buried her. You know what's funny? After everything, the lies, the betrayal, the courtroom drama, the only thing she had left was a phone. And she used it well. Texts. Emails. Voicemails that started with, please, and ended with, I'm sorry. At first, I read a few. Not because I wanted to. Because I was curious. Like staring at smoke after a building's already burned to the ground. She said all the things people say when the consequences kick in. I wasn't thinking straight. I miss you. You were always the better man. Right. But the better man doesn't wait around to be pitied. So, I stopped reading. Stopped listening. Stopped wondering. I blocked her number. Changed my email. Let silence speak louder than I ever could. Jenna ended up in a small studio outside Aurora. One of her old friends, someone who still pitied her, rented her a room. She picked up shifts at a local cafe. Funny enough, it was the same chain we used to stop at after Sunday hikes. Now she was wiping tables while I was sketching skylines. Because while she was looking back, I was finally moving forward. I opened Reeves and Company, a small architecture studio downtown. My name on the door. My team. My vision. I hired 2 recent grads, sharp kids with fire in their eyes. I told them, "We're not just designing buildings. We're rebuilding futures." They probably thought it was just branding. But for me, it was personal. I rented a loft near the office. Minimalist. Clean. Mine. The kind of place where peace lives in the walls. Morning coffee on the balcony. Classical records playing on Sunday afternoons. No shouting. No cold shoulders. No pretending. Just life. On my terms. Sometimes, late at night, I think about those early days. The hikes. The stupid inside jokes. The feeling that we had something real. And for a second, I wonder, was any of it genuine? But the echo of her voice, in those last voicemails, always reminds me. She chose this. Not once. Not by accident. Over and over again. People ask if I'm bitter. No. I'm not angry. I'm just done. Done trying to understand her. Done wondering what I could have done differently. Done giving energy to someone who threw mine away like it was cheap. Because in the quiet that followed her storm, I found peace. And peace tastes better than closure ever could. 1 year later, almost to the day, I stood in the same spot. Same window. Same crooked little chair in that Icelandic villa. Only this time, no packed suitcase beside me. No weight in my chest. Just peace. It was snowing outside. Soft, slow flakes. The kind that make the world look like it's paused. I had a mug of strong local coffee in my hands. And a view that still looked like it belonged in a dream. The mountains were untouched. The steam from the nearby hot spring rose in gentle curls. And overhead, the northern lights moved like silk in the sky. It felt strange at first. Coming back to the place where everything had cracked open. Where she looked me in the eyes and said, "I'm going with Trevor." But now, it didn't sting. Because the man who stood here today wasn't the one she left behind. I didn't come back to chase ghosts. I came to celebrate the one thing she didn't take. Me. Not the version she twisted. Not the man she tried to rewrite. But the one who picked up the pieces and built something real. Over the last year, I rebuilt everything. Not just my business, though Reeves and Company was doing well. Not just my finances, though those were back in shape. I rebuilt myself. The way I think. The way I show up in my own life. The way I feel, finally, without fear or guilt or shame. Some nights I still remember the betrayal. But not like a scar. More like a map. A reminder of the roads I never want to walk again. People always say closure is a conversation. An apology. A final. Why? But for me, it was a moment. Right here. Watching green light dance across the sky. Realizing I didn't miss her. Didn't hate her. Didn't need her. Not anymore. What I did need. Exactly what I had. My name. My breath. My own damn life. You know what the wildest part is? She tried to strip me of everything. The trip. The money. The truth. My dignity. But in doing that, she handed me something better than revenge. She handed me clarity. I finished my coffee, put the mug down on the windowsill. And for the first time since all of this began, I didn't feel like the story had ended. I felt like it had started. My life wasn't what I planned. It was better. Because it was mine.